welcome to MDC North Impact. Today, we're here with student government, learning a little bit of what they do and some of the projects that they have going on. And so we're going to start off with two of our student government members. Introduce yourselves.
Well, my name is Yesbel Albro. I'm the current president for Student Government Association.
My name is Evelyne Pacheco, and I serve as a parliamentarian.
And what are your pathways?
My pathway is to audio video production or film.
My pathway is to a double major in international relations and journalism.
So tell me a little bit, what is student government?
Student Government Association is an organization that fosters leadership within our students, and the purpose of it is to ensure that a voice is that there's a voice for our student body.
Awesome.
And we do this through student government sponsored events and advocacy training and workshops.
Awesome. And so as student government members, what are some of your responsibilities?
As our members, some of our responsibilities is to make sure that we are giving back to our community, both on and off campus. We do this through events such as our PB&J drive, a masquerade event, and a TPS workshop that we had. And we also do this through service off campus, like working with Feeding South Florida.
And so you do a lot of advocacy. What are some examples of advocacy projects that you do?
So our major advocacy project that we actually did was that we had selected members and selected board members, as well as some of our senators and ambassadors, go to Tallahassee and speak directly with the Florida Senate. So they spoke with their district representatives, they spoke with their senators to really advocate on issues that affect public colleges, such as Miami-Dade College, and tell them to support certain bills that go over college affordability, go over tuition fee waivers, a pathway for undocumented students, since we are a sanctuary campus, and to really get that conversation going.
Is there something that you're truly passionate about when you talk about all these different advocacy issues? What are you truly passionate about that you kind of want to focus on and kind of let the whole entire world, hey, this is what we're doing?
Well, this year, one that many of our officers feel, and one that I personally feel as well, that is one of the major issues, is immigrant rights. So that's why we've been talking a lot about temporary protected status and DACA this year through our events.
And what is DACA for people who don't know what that is?
DACA is basically
So deferred action. It stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. And it pretty much gives undocumented students whose parents have come to the States illegally a right to pursue an education. Sometimes that also means getting a social security, a work permit, and really trying to get that American dream that they really go forwards to. And then that is kind of the same thing for TPS, except TPS is given to countries that are in crisis, such as Haiti, Syria. We have a lot of those students here on campus. So we actually picked immigration as our theme for this year. Last year it was unity. This year we wanted to do immigration because of administrative policies, certain things that are winding down in the Florida Senate, the Florida House, that directly impact the community at Miami-Dade campus, and especially at North Campus, because we have the highest Haitian population.
Wow. And so what are some type of events that you do to kind of get the word out to the other students, hey, this is kind of what we're going for?
One of the events that we did this year that had a lot of people come in and that we assisted was the temporary protected status workshop that we had. We brought in a variety of pro bono lawyers to come in, do presentations, and do one-on-one sessions with our students. And by the end of the day, we were able to assist over 250 students.
Wow.
In addition, during the FASIGA conference, when we were speaking to our representatives and senators, that was one thing that we brought up again and again to our representatives, especially Senator Campbell.
And what is FASIGA, so for those that don't know?
So FASIGA stands for Florida College System Student Government Association. It is an overlying organization for all the student governments in Florida. And it's basically our connection to the other student governments. So they do a lot of advocacy workshops, a lot of leadership trainings to make sure that the leaders in student government have the pathway to bring out their communities.
Perfect. And so what's the training that goes on for the students and the members to get them prepared to go to Tallahassee to speak in front of a student who may not necessarily understand what all this is and how they can make a difference? What kind of training do you guys do?
So before FASIGA, we actually had a training with Victoria Hernandez and former Representative Dwight Bullard, and they taught us how to represent ourselves in front of these senators. They taught us some leadership skills to think about so that when these students went to FASIGA, they were properly prepared. We also host other workshops. So one that is coming up is in February. In collaboration with ISED, we're going to have a leadership training with sponsored by SGA and with all the other clubs on campus to teach our students how to promote several issues, how to be strong leaders, and how to bring out several issues that are prominent within their communities.
And so when you look at what you do, what are some of the classroom things that you learned in the classroom that has helped you better be a student government leader?
Well, personally for me, since I am into the political science, international relations, that's one part of the main major. So I'm very heavily influenced by, what's been going on in class, different debates that we have, discussions about policies, policy implementation, and how that really impacts people and students in general on the local level. So a lot of, the workshops that we've done, not just with, Victoria Hernandez and Dwight Bullard, but a lot of our, even our general session meetings, we really go over what it is, how a general session moves into committees, how voting procedures. We really see we also talk about public speaking. We had a public speaking workshop just so they can get more comfortable speaking to people of authority. We had an advocacy workshop, and then we also have certain things that they take away from the classroom, like debating or public speaking, research, things that they need to go out and get to become, this holistic person.
So you're definitely applying what you're getting in the classroom, whether it be through your different pathways or just general things that you're getting in your general classes, and then embedding them to student government. What has been, before we close, some of the highlights from the students that you've gotten of all the different initiatives that you're doing? What's some of the feedback that they've given you?
For Masquerade that we had this year, when we were giving back to the food pantry, a lot of students came up to us and told us how amazing this opportunity was, because they have many friends who face food insecurity. And after the Masquerade, which was an event that we had to raise canned food for the food pantry at North and at Inter-American, we raised over 800 cans of food. Wow. So many students after that said, thank you so much. I personally face food insecurity, and I'm here at this event to give back, but also my friends and family and the community at North Campus is going to be benefited as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We do run out of time. We're going to come back with more student government members. Stay tuned.
Start your story at MDC. Be analytical. Be imaginative. Be a rising star. Be bold. Be connected. Be the solution. Be ready. What's your story? Be the best. Be you. Be MDC.
Welcome back as we interview student government members and find out a little bit of what they're doing in student government. Introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Shalma Torchin, and I serve as the Public Relations Director.
Hi, my name is Monskar Montier, and I serve as the Executive Director.
So SGA does a lot of different things, and we heard from the first segment some of the things that you do. Talk to us about, I actually want to know a little bit about the temporary protective status. What is it? How does that work? And so why does SGA feel so passionate about this?
Well, SGA is the voice for the student body. And so when the temporary protective status was first introduced to our executive board members in June, we immediately took into consideration the diversity within our student population. And so it was vital for us to provide a tangible solution for those students that may face deportation, because we knew that our students weren't prepared for the transition that the ending deadline would present for them.
And so what are the types of events that you have to bring awareness to this?
So we typically use our social media through Instagram and SharkNet to share different quotes or even flyers to students to promote advocacy. And we also have classroom presentations for students to join SGA, and through that they can gain a lot of opportunities to advocate for their student population. And whether it be in our community or in conferences at Tallahassee, their voice is heard.
Awesome. And so when you look at all this stuff, why did you decide to join student government?
So honestly, student government, I felt as though with this, I could speak out. If I saw a problem, if I wanted administrators to hear what I had to say, this was the best way possible.
You go to Tallahassee. Do you feel intimidated when you're speaking to all these legislators and representatives about this issue? Do you feel intimidated? Is there something that do you want to how do you get your message across to them?
Well, I didn't go to Tallahassee, but I'm sure that it was intimidating. But then again, when you think about it, if you don't speak out for your own causes, no one is going to hear you.
Absolutely. And so I asked the first set of members, and I wanted to ask you, how much has what you learned in the classroom impacted what you do in student government?
Well, I was a student of Professor Tapia, and through that we really focused on the cultural and political aspects of society. And also I took a GSELS course, which stands for Global Sustainability and Earth Literacy, with Professor Projeski. And through that, we worked in collaboration with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and a few students and myself went to Hialeah Gardens High School, and we gave presentations about human rights.
Wow, and so when you're giving these students this presentation, they probably haven't really thought about human rights. What are some of the feedback that they give you?
Well, a lot of them did not know that this was a right that's everyone is, it's a human right that everyone, whether they be in Asia or Africa, they have that right. And sometimes it's not, the government doesn't allow them to express that right. And so for us to come in and tell them this is what you can and cannot do. So it was very eye-opening for a few of them. I
was a student government member back in the day. One of my biggest fears was public speaking, because I'm not, I want to say I was very shy, because now I can do it. Is there something that a quality or a characteristic you didn't have before, or you thought it was a weakness that now you feel is your strength?
I think public speaking is a big one, because you feel as though the moment that you start speaking, someone is already judging you and such. But once you do it one time, you can do it over and over again. It's not something that you just wake up and you automatically have. It's a practice skill that you gain.
And as student government members, is this your first semester, second semester in student government?
This is my second semester.
Second semester, and what about you?
This is my second semester.
Second semester. And what made you, out of all the student organizations, join student government?
Well, student government is, we play a big factor where we connect the club organizations with the administrators. And so I felt like with this club, I can really make a big impact. And for me, with my position as the public relations director, I love communicating with others and making sure that they're okay and I'm okay, and being that bond between two different organizations.
Definitely understand that, because I was the public relations director. So I understand what that feeling is like. And before we wrap up, what is one quick message that you would have for the student body as to why they should join student government?
We're Haitian students, and we're not really well represented in the community, especially the political community. And so, especially if you come from a cultural background that isn't well represented, you should represent what you stand for.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, the students. Coming up next, we'll have the student government advisors.
Start your story at MDC. Be analytical. Be imaginative. Be a rising star. Be bold. Be connected. Be the solution. Be ready. What's your story? Be the best, be you, be MDC.
Welcome back as we do MDC North Impact. We're going to close our show today with our student government advisor as well as the student life director and hear from their side. First thing, introduce yourselves, please.
Hi, my name is Lorraine Wright. I serve as the Student Life Director.
Hi, my name is Sherman again. I serve as Student Life Specialist and Advisor for Student Government Association.
And so I've actually been on both of your positions, so this is very comfortable. When we talk about change making and making a difference, how do you explain that to your students, the importance of making a difference?
Well, what I normally do is I explain the importance of giving back to the community and making intentional change on and off campus and how that can foster leadership and professional development within them. Most of our students really don't understand the concept of giving back. They come here as commuter students, meaning that they go to class and they go home. And what we do is we create student leaders, which will hopefully create leaders within our community and our country as well. So we explain to them how important it is to give back, how important it is to voice your concerns and things that you are passionate about so that you can serve as a pillar of hope for those that are unable to.
And Charmaine, when you look at change making, because you work really close with the student government members, what is one thing that you see in them that is sort of growing as they're discovering their passion and discovering these passion for advocacy? What are some of the things the characteristics that you see growing in them?
One strong characteristic that they all show, and it's 9 on the board, is just their commitment to serve. They're always trying to find different ways to serve the students and also the community. They really enjoy reaching back. They really enjoy, just service, and that's through any avenue that they can be a part of or be a help. When
they talked about the different advocacies that they do, when they come up to you and say, I want to advocate for this, what do you say to them when it's such a big and sometimes technical thing that they want to describe to other students and they want to explain how students are affected by this? What do you tell them when they come to you with these projects and say, I want to go ahead and do this?
Well, and I think one thing Sherman is good at is he encourages our students. No matter how big the project may be, he creates time for them. He spend hours in his office and in SGA going over what they want and the logistics and how they can reach that goal, whether it be in a month or maybe in the next semester. And then he'll go over the event process and different pillars and different pathways in order to achieve the goal. And in particular, the temporary protected status workshop, when he first came to me and I said, who created this? Who came up with this idea? And he was like, it was just a little conversation between 2 of our SGA leaders. And then from there, they decided, okay, this is something that we really, really need to get on top of because the deadline is coming up. And a majority of our students, well, a large percentage of our students are Haitian immigrants. And there are, students that would be affected by this referendum. And then what they said was, I know that we may not be able to get funding in order to host this event, and as far as paying lawyers, but maybe we can get sponsors. And sponsorship is something I really didn't consider when it comes to touching a large population of students and creating an event or a project for them. But in addition to creating that project, they received, I believe, 2 sponsors.
Yes.
BB&T and the Immigration
Lawyer Association.
Lawyer Association, and they were able to get them to sponsor food as well as pro bono lawyers within the community. And through that, we were also able to get free consultations with students and their family members. When we first started the event, and this is kind of like a really big thing to me, we only opened it to students. But then we received calls from community education and different outsiders that heard about the event. They say, hey, is it possible for me to bring my family with me because they really need some consultation with the lawyers? I said, of course. You can bring anyone that's affected by this decision. And that's one of the things, one of the examples where I think it's something that's out of reach for us, and then our students think, no, we can do this, and they have that much power within themselves.
Sherman, as student government advisor, you spend the majority of time with these students. What are some of the things that you enjoy about your everyday with them, your interactions with them?
Well, for me, I just love working with them because you never know what they're going to be when they grow up, right? We could be grooming the next scientist, the great inventor, or the next, multimillionaire. So for me to just have just regular conversation with them on a daily basis and know that those conversations can possibly change their lives, it's pretty rewarding to me. And that's why I look forward to them. And I just let them bounce ideas off of me, and we kind of work together. And it's just one pretty much big brainstorming session.
And so let's talk about when you all were in college. Sherman, what are some of the things, some of the highlights from your college experience that now you take and apply to the job?
Well, I was involved in clubs, varsity athletics, and community engagement projects. All of them have contributed to my my passion of just being around students, my social development, my commitment level, and they all provided me with the skills I needed to be able to work in teams to achieve a goal.
What was your favorite organization?
It has to be the football team.
Football team, all right. What about you, Lorraine?
Well, when I started at Miami-Dade, I wasn't really a student leader. I started as a commuter student, but then I started to work in student life as a part-timer, and I was exposed to those leadership opportunities. And I was also able to become a senator in SGA, not by default, but I kind of like tripped into it because a lot of my friends were a part of SGA, and I said, okay, maybe I should give it a try. And then I was able to get into SGA as a senator, and then from there I was afforded the opportunity to do Rally and Tally, where the students go to Tallahassee to advocate on behalf of the student population here at Miami-Dade College. And I was like, this is an out-of-body experience. Like, if it wasn't for that lifelong learning experience, I wouldn't have been able to like travel, go out of Opelika, Miami-Dade County, and really be exposed to a lot of things that were afforded to me. So it kind of like set me back and was like, okay, maybe it's more than just being a commuter student and just going from class to home, because, and you know, we have a lot of non-traditional students. They have other responsibilities, and I was one of those students, but I was able to like take out a chunk of my, at least an hour or two, because you only needed to do 2 hours a week in order to be a senator at that time.
Right.
And I took out an hour or two a week, and I decided to do office hours, and I was inducted as a senator, and it afforded me the opportunity.
And they're really amazing, because living through it, they're really amazing memories to have. This whole 360. Now, you remember who first introduced you to either football or student organization, and now you're that person doing the introductions and kind of opening up a new chapter in these students' lives. How do you deal with the everyday? Because it's not only about students, but it's also student academics. How do you help them manage academics, their involvement, all these extracurricular activities?
Well, I speak to that. Academics comes first, right? That's echoed from the top down from President Harrison. And so we all understand that, what we're here for is about the education piece. And everything else comes second. But they know that without that academic piece, they're not going to be allowed to participate. So they make sure that they're on top of those grades, on top of those, tutoring sessions, make sure they seek out the help that they need. So they can be a part of SGA, so they can, service other students who really need the help.
And if we have students watching and they want to join student government, what do they do?
Well, first off, we have general session meetings every Monday from 2 to 3. They're more than welcome to come there. If not, they can visit us in the SJ office in room 4212, or they can also visit me in the student life, which is room 4207.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, viewers, for joining us. Today we covered student government. Hope to see you next time on MDC North Impact. Thank you.